Great. Thanks, Suzanne. As I just said there, my name's Maeve. I'm Group Strategy Director in Dentsu Ireland. So we look after our work across media agencies, Visium, Cara, and iPro. As I said, I'm going the last one up today, and I'm going to bring you through a quick tour of the social media landscape, and then kind of bring you through how to win at constructing a brilliant social media campaign. So diving on into it, I suppose, social media, I think, we can all say that it pretty much mirrors our lives on a day-to-day basis. It's no longer that thing you go and do. It's literally innate within us. We're literally, going through our everyday, gramming some nice food, getting involved in a trend on TikTok, or just like keeping in touch with our pals on Facebook. When it gets interesting is when we start thinking about what makes social so strong. And there's two key areas or kind of social constructs that we start looking at and kind of builds the success on every key social plan. And it's the idea of, firstly, homophily. And homophily is pretty much birds of a feather, we flock together. It's around unconsciously seeking out people that have the same interests, the same values of us. And then it's this idea of social proof. So social proof is pretty much how we're kind of driven by the actions of our friends. So what are our pals doing? I'm more likely to do as well. And that really kind of leans into the idea that very much so, social is powered by people more so than anything else. And it's the people that then start to kind of give us power and create a new kind of trust framework on, how we view trust, how we get trust, how we're viewing brands and what they're doing. Peer reviews are the most kind of strong thing that we can get from people. Trust networks are being created on places like Airbnb, where, you're rating your guest in your house. We're looking at TripAdvisor reviews for, any kind of service experience, and even reviews on Facebook when it comes to products. So it's kind of like, as a brand, when we're thinking about the ideas of, homophily, social proof, this trust framework by people, how can we start to create and add value to these communities, create peer-to-peer conversations and understand what's going on? So I suppose the first thing we need to do is get to know the landscape. We're spending nearly 2 hours a day when it comes to social, and we've got about, on average, 8 accounts. We're spending time across mobile and desktop still. So that's telling me we're a bit fragmented on our approach to where we're doing and how we're approaching our social. So when it comes to social, where are most people hanging out and where is there that reach? And what we do know is that it's the Facebook owned platforms that still are overpowering all the other ones. They've still got the most reach when it comes to Ireland. So like 80% of people are going on to Facebook all the time. What is interesting is that we're starting to see growth in kind of smaller platforms like the likes of TikTok, Pinterest, and I suppose even Instagram that is Facebook owned. And it's quite interesting because when we're looking at like, well, where are people hanging out, the bigger point is, what are they doing? And what we do know is that when people are on social channels, they're going on a lot of the time just to fill a bit of space. I want to be entertained when I go on. And that's great for brands because that means that these are the ideal consumers that we can kind of start talking to when we want to kind of really talk to someone in that discovery phase. They're open to our messaging because they just are on there to fill time to scroll. So, this is a perfect place to, and they're looking to be inspired, find new products to purchase. And we know in terms of the places that they're following or the pages that they're following, that they're open to following either brands to purchase or brands that they've already purchased. And I think a big thing when it comes to social is that it's a storytelling platform, and it's a really, really nice area to be able to kind of add a bit of depth to your comms. This doesn't always have to be functional, rational messaging, but how can we kind of really, really connect with our audience, have a bit of fun, build out our personality that little bit more. And it kind of like, it's getting more exciting because we're seeing platforms like the likes of TikTok come into play. They're kind of a bit of a tonic to the social world, where it's not all about like selfies and creating an ideal perception of myself, but it's about kind of delving into community, having a bit of fun, seeing the lighter side of life, which is really, really, which is like a really, really great opportunity for brands when it comes to how we can connect. And with those things, I think what makes them so strong is these three kind of segments of Firstly, community. Going back to that idea of homophily, it's kind of like wherever you go on social platforms, you're going to find your tribe, be it health, be it photography, be it a massive gamer on Twitch. There is a community for you. We take that community, people of liked interests and values, and then we add in peer-to-peer conversations. So it's that ability on all these platforms now that we can talk to each other. And then on top of that, we'll topple on a bit of live. So, I think this really, really came to the fore when it came to lockdown, and you could do everything from go on Instagram in the morning and do a workout with Roz Purcell to hanging out on Facebook Live in the evening time with, a kitchen disco with Sophie Ellis Bextor and everything in between. So we take that idea of like individuals, allowing for a conversation to happen, and now allowing for that conversation to happen in real time with activities. We take those three key things, and then we add on the element of e-commerce, and we're just this absolute fertile ground for brands to grow. So we've got the likes of Facebook, and they've started creating since 2020 Facebook shops, and that's across all of their platforms. So allowing you to take key products from your website and build a shop on the Facebook platform. Twitter are also bringing out new e-commerce features, and even TikTok have come with 3 new integrations when it comes to e-commerce. I think the one that interests me the most is live streamed shopping. So that's pretty much similar to a TV shopping channel that you would have had back in the day, where you see someone showcasing a product, you ring them up and you buy it. Now what we're able to do is use that with influencers, except that buying exchange is happening within a couple of touches of a button. Super exciting. So then when it comes to all of that, I think what that is showcasing us is that social is playing this vital role across the entire purchase journey. And really what we're seeing is that it's bringing closer together that first moment of interaction and that last moment of transaction closer than ever before. So I can discover a brand, see its products, and buy it all in one complete shoppable moment. And we're seeing that people are open to this. So people are going on social and they're 32% are discovering new brands. 37% are actively looking for information on brands on their social networks. And then again, going down the funnel a little bit more, 23% are visiting a brand's network, 17% are clicking on posts and sponsored posts in order to get more detail on that. So we can see how social is playing this vital role across the entire purchase funnel, from discovery to conversion, and how we can kind of start architecting plans around that. There's some brilliant examples of brands that are doing this really, really well. One that I've kind of seen from the outside in that I just think is like a best in class kind of example of how they're architecting their comms across all of the different social ecosystems is Gym Plus Coffee. So I just definitely implore you all to go on and have a look at how they're kind of architecting their comms. But what you will see is that they're doing a huge amount of high reaching, engaging video formats, where they're kind of talking to a huge amount of people. You can see with Niall Horan here. But then what they're doing is once they've got that first interaction, they're building community. So, they have this beautiful hashtag that they're navigating a huge amount of content around, which is called Make Life Richer. So as you have maybe a Gym and Coffee jumper, you're tagging your jumper, you're creating and you're tagging yourself in an activity outdoors that's making life richer. Then what happens is those pieces of content become shoppable moments, because what they've done is they've created a Facebook shop with all of their different formats, all of their different products, and all of those are now shoppable. So I can click to buy in 2 clicks of your mouse. So really what it's bringing is that interaction, community, discovery, and then a shoppable moment on top of that. So what does that mean for kind of us, and where do we start when we start kind of actually bringing together this kind of campaign? So I'd say the 4 key areas to start off with and to concentrate on is getting your objective right, talking to, then understanding who's your audience, how do I find them, how do I build them, then what platform should I be talking on, and how do I construct it based on the behaviors of that platform, and finally, what creative formats should I be using that will deliver on my content strategy. So kicking off with objective, I think the big thing around objective setting is it's the most important thing that you're going to do. A lot of times when it comes to social, what we'll see is that people start with creative first. They go, oh, I've got a really nice creative idea that I'm going to put up on my social pages. But without having an objective behind it, you're going to lose the rigor across everything that you do. What your objective is going to inform is firstly what you want to achieve. So there's multiple different objectives that you can do. Taking 3 basic ones of awareness, consideration, conversion, those three objectives are going to inform different performance indicators, different buying metrics, and also different formats that you'll use across the different platforms. It'll also start to inform the kind of budget you want to set and how you can set a budget. So for argument's sake, if I originally start off that I want to have an awareness objective, I might say I want to reach 60% of my audience. And now what that's going to inform is how much budget I'll need. So everything starts with an objective and then brings it through. So once you have your objective, then you start to build out your audience. And what's great is that across all of the multiple platforms, there's loads of different ways that we can really pinpoint and find who our audience are. So the first way you could look at it is an interest-based audience. So finding, again, going back to that homophily, tribe, community, what are people interested in? So maybe it might be sustainable fashion or clothing. Then I can kind of start to figure out where do these communities exist and how I can build them out. I might do it through keyword conversations that can be done on Twitter, specific, pertinent hashtags that are really, really big and trending in that area. But then what I can start to do is build out my audience based on people that have engaged with me. So maybe they've watched one of my videos, maybe they've visited my website. And what I can do is with those people that have engaged with me, I can then choose to serve them another ad to kind of bring them on that journey from interaction to transaction and really deepen my engagement and my storytelling with them. And then finally, what we can do is we can start building audiences around the idea of lookalikes. So it could be someone that has bought from me previously. How do I find that audience, or how do I find a similar audience to them? There's loads of different ways within the different platforms, and we can start to build out these audiences. So where I'd always start is start with the data that you have. Do you have any CRM? Because if you have, you're generally able to upload those into your different platforms. And then what you can start to do is create out specific sell tactics on that. So maybe you want to find similar audiences. Maybe you want to resell to these people. Maybe you want to cross-sell, upsell. So now you can start to kind of really become really defined on where your audiences are. And then again, the majority of platforms will have pixels. So a small little piece of code that you can drop on your website that will allow you to create specific audiences based on interactions on your site. So once you have your objective, then you've got your specific audience that you want to target. You can kind of start looking at the platforms that you want to target with those audiences. So I suppose the big thing is go onto the platforms, even if you're like not a person that will ever create a TikTok account, go on and see how your target audiences are interacting and acting. Look at how specific other platforms or other competitors are doing, and do that across all of your different platforms. So you can get an idea of tone, personality, best ways to behave. Once you've done that, then what I'd recommend is start to plot out your channel ecosystem. So think about what's the user behavior on that platform. What do I want my brand to achieve on that platform? So for Facebook, it could be reach. For Insta, it could be engagement. And for TikTok, it could be just deepening out that personality. Once you have that, then you can start thinking about, well, what do I have to think about when it comes to creative considerations? So that's when you start looking at the different creative formats that you have. So there's loads of different formats available for us across each of these platforms, but luckily a lot of them are quite similar. There's just a different kind of nuance based on the platform. You're going to have video ads, image ads, carousels, story ads. Collection ads, I think, are really interesting when it comes to a retail perspective, because what it allows you to do is have a video format that has your product within it, but then underneath the video you can have specific external links to specific products. So they're the ones that are available on Facebook and Instagram. They're very similar when it comes to Twitter as well, but what Twitter also has when it comes to, like, if you want to have a quick reach and awareness campaign, it has first view and promoted trends. Then when it comes to Pinterest, again, very similar to other formats, except here what we're kind of seeing is that it's far more native on the platform. So what can you do to stand out when you're looking on Pinterest? And then finally, you've got TikTok creative formats. So again, these formats are very much based in video. They're vertical views, and they're different formats from top view, which is when you open up your TikTok app, it's the first ad you see, to in feed, which is this formats that you'll see when you start to scroll through. So you can see there's multiple different formats across all of the different platforms. So it's really about understanding what format will allow me deliver content to the audience that I choose on the platform that I want that will allow me to deliver my objective. So I suppose really, if it comes to 10 key principles for kind of constructing a social campaign, the first thing that I would really put pressure on is planning to objective and not creative. So I want to create awareness. Now that I know that I want to create awareness, where do I go? That's very different to I want to create a sales conversion. Secondly, then it comes to campaigns being grouped by KPI. So if I have multiple campaigns, group them to a specific metric, such as reach, video view, page lands. Always use a bank of creative to run in rotation. We'd always say like minimum of 3 ads per ad set, and run those across multiple ad formats and multiple platforms. So you're always be testing, always be learning. But I suppose the biggest thing, and I think we're hearing this throughout the day, is keep it simple. One clean message or benefit per format. Don't try and say the world and everything that you want to say in one format. Because it will never work. Think about how quickly you scroll. It needs to be visual and get attention quickly. Then I would recommend leaning into the native functionality of the formats. So if that's a trend, ask me anything. And finally, invest in good quality creative and paid promotion. So, there's no point in doing a social campaign if nobody sees it. So that's why it's so important to invest with paid promotion. But then secondly, there's no point in really pushing a load of budget behind something if your quality of your creative isn't good. Like, social shouldn't be seen as a cheap option. It's something that does need to be invested in. So finally, I just wanted to bring you through a case study that we did with IKEA. So IKEA obviously is a big brand, and they had done a advertiser funded program called Home Rescue. I'm sure some of you have seen it on RTE. A big thing for us is we wanted to strengthen the brand with that ad funded program. However, what we wanted to really do is use social to close that gap between something that's seen on telly and a conversion. So what we did is we created some ad formats that showed that, I suppose, created awareness about the TV and when it was on, so people knew that it was on. And we did a really broad audience with that across Facebook, Insta, where people could watch it. Then what we did was we created some behind the scenes to kind of from people that had watched the program, so they could see other pieces of content, but then we started bringing in the formats that were used within the content itself. Then what we were able to do is we were able to retarget everyone that had interacted with our social campaigns, that had gone to site with product-led ads. So we were able to create Pinterest boards of all of the different products that were used within the different episodes. And then we also did collection ads. So it kind of was throughout the funnel, we were able to, it was a through the funnel campaign. And what we were able to do with that is we saw really strong reach, which is what we wanted from the top funnel. Mid funnel, we got really strong interaction and view through rates. Then we were able to see a huge uplift of traffic to site. And over the episodes, we saw nearly 20,000 people come to site through these ads. And we saw a massive uplift in our web sales throughout. So I suppose over and all, the key takeouts for this is that every single interaction that someone has with your brand has the ability to lead to a transaction. So ensure that everything is shoppable. Always start with your objectives. Get to know your community. Who are they? How can we add value? And finally, invest in your content. And that is everything from me.
Excellent. Thank you so much, meabh. And thank you to all our presenters today, to Izzy, to Doug, to Rob, to Mark Corrigan and Mark White. A very special thank you to our partners, Retail Ireland, to Arnold, to Roisin Woods and Teresa Gallagher, to my own colleague, meabh O'Mara, who has lived and breathed this with me over the last number of months. And to you, for being with us, for being such an engaged audience as well. Great questions and great use of the Q&A and chat. Materials are on our website, will be on our website, ivyireland.ie, in just a matter of moments. The recording will take a little bit longer because you'll understand it has to download, but will be up hopefully later today. And we will share that with all those that have registered. Please come back, review. We know we've shared a lot of data, information and case studies with you. The beauty of digital and not having this in a physical environment is that you can come back and review it again and again. And as you plan your campaigns and as you reach out to our members following this, you can review in a timely fashion and share with your teams. Should you have any further questions, once again, reach out to us. That's what we're here for. That's our role and our remit on behalf of the whole industry. So we'll give you back just a few minutes. We're finishing 4 minutes ahead of time, and we know that everybody very much needs that. So thank you once again, and ivireland.ie for all the resources. And I'm Suzanne at ivireland.ie should you have any follow-up questions. Thank you very much, and goodbye.